Janitorial combat, written by OGGruntComm. Feck, Jenkins muttered, staring at 4 unconscious Terran ambassadors sprawled around the shuttle's lounge like dropped mannequins. Beside him, Milo crouched by the Secretary of State, snapping his fingers in front of his face. Nothing. A small puddle formed beneath him. "They're so screwed," Milo said. Jenkins stood nearby, gripping a vinegar bottle, his face a mix of guilt and fury. "Bleach and vinegar? What were you thinking?" Bobby pulled off his fogged-up goggles. "I thought bleach keeps the tiles white and vinegar kills the germs." But he rubbed his eyes with a soaked glove and immediately shrieked in pain, doubling over. "You dummy," Milo said. A moment later, the empty vinegar bottle bounced off his head. "Forget Jenkins," Bobby pointed. "The Secretary of State just wet himself." Okay, think," Jenkins said, blinking. "They're expecting 4 ambassadors, not 3 janitors who just chemically bombed a diplomatic team." Bobby snapped his fingers. "Well, there's a possibility they haven't seen the ambassadors." No, Jenkins replied. "Got a better plan?" Bobby shot back. "We've got 3 minutes and no backup." Milo looked up. "What?" "Milo, what size are your pants?" Jenkins asked. Minutes later, the 3 janitors stood in awkwardly stolen formal wear. Bobby was stuck with the pee pants, still visibly stained. Milo's blazer swallowed him. Jenkins, in a too-tight pantsuit, adjusted the sleeves like he was preparing for a fistfight. "This smells like death," Bobby groaned. "That's international relations," Jenkins said. "Just follow my lead." The airlock hissed. 3 Atraxian diplomats stepped through, tall, iridescent, with 4 eyes and gill-like neck folds, their expressions unreadable. Milo panicked and raised his hands in a V-shape, fingers split down the middle. The Atraxians froze. Then the lead emissary mirrored the gesture. "You honor us with an ancient greeting," it said, voice flowing like a calm stream. "We do not expect humans to research so thoroughly." Jenkins blinked. "We believe in cultural preparation." "That symbol has not been used in 8 generations, the second Atraxian added. "Your anthropologists must be exceptional." "The Ancient Aliens Foundation prepared us well," Bobby said confidently, the History Channel logo flashing in his mind as he spoke. "I am High Emissary Zextrel," the lead said. "Shall we begin?" "Absolutely," Jenkins said. "Please, follow us to the Cultural Exchange Chamber. Lead the way, Senator Bob." Bobby led them to the only room that had a table, chairs, and no unconscious diplomats at the moment, the janitor's break room. Inside, a stained break table with a half-eaten sandwich, a wall of pin-up calendars, and shelves lined with cleaning supplies. The Atraxians ducked through the low doorway and stared in awe. "Our warrior's planning room," Zextrel breathed. Rilcon gestured to the degreaser chart. "Chemical warfare diagrams." "And these?" another asked, pointing to the bikini calendar. "Our genetic selection tributes," Jenkins said without missing a beat. Zextrel dipped a finger into spilled cleaner. "A ritual libation. Not for drinking," Jenkins lunged forward. "Just sacred, not ingestible." Milo tossed them a sandwich. "This is what we eat in negotiations." Rilcon leaned in, gills pulsing. "You offer the flesh of oceanic creatures. A gesture of humility, perhaps, to consume that which thrives beyond your reach. How profoundly symbolic." "Absolutely," Bobby said proudly. "We conquered the oceans, now we devour their champions." Zextrel bowed. "Then we shall dine on humanity's enemies." "So these talks, they're obviously for an alliance," Jenkins said quickly. "Against the Voraxan Horde," Zextrel confirmed. "The who?" Milo blurted. Jenkins kicked him. "Yes, awful people, very horde-like." "What resources can humanity offer?" Wilcon asked. Jenkins looked around. Powerful chemical agents, effective against biological contaminants, and rendering the enemy unconscious without firing a shot. And the Roomba." He lifted a circular machine that had just run into the wall beside him. "Advanced AI trained to seek out and cleanse entire compounds in mere hours." "Your weapons are deceptively civilian," Nex Mera, the security attaché, said in awe. "We also got nukes," Jenkins explained. "Like a lot of nukes. Huge explosions capable of wiping out entire cities. Continents, even." "Our reports suggested as such. Very devastating weaponry." The Atraxians looked towards one another and then back at the 3 janitors. Zextrel nodded. Then we are in agreement. Just as Jenkins exhaled in relief, Zextrel added, one final matter. The unconscious humans, your defeated rivals, will they join the Alliance? The janitors froze. You knew? Jenkins asked. We detected them, 4 unconscious, chemically subdued. We assumed it was a ritual combat to claim negotiation rights. Bobby beamed. Exactly. Trial by janitorial combat. Zextrel raised all fingers in salute. If Earth is willing to send its best warriors to negotiate, then we have no place to deny such an honorable species into the galactic community. The Adraxian Collective welcomes the Terran Republic with honor. Jenkins adjusted his blazer. I'm so fucked. End of story. Story number 2. The Abyss Gazes Back. When the people of the home began to explore the multiverse, they were filled with curiosity, hope, and wonderment. What mysterious new worlds would they find? What strange new species? Just how diverse is the infinite multiverse? The home is static, a soup of gases, liquids, and solids intermixed with each other. Their universe has been this way for billions of years, perhaps forever. Routinely, currents sweep in from the vast expanse, bringing in new nutrients and materials. Life flourished in the home, and no one ever truly wanted for anything. Millions of species coexisted peacefully. The crew of the first vessel to enter another universe suffocated in seconds as their air escaped into the void. At least 99.99% of this universe was pure vacuum, and no ship had ever been designed to be airtight. There was never a need to. Vacuums had been created in laboratories. Sometimes they were even useful. But nobody had ever thought that such a thing could exist in nature. The natural tendency of things, claimed philosophers, was for something to exist within a space. What is the point of volume existing if there is nothing to fill it? The crew of the second vessel froze to death. It turns out the vacuum is far colder than anything they had encountered outside of laboratories. Scientists thought it impossible for something so cold to exist in nature. In their reality, perhaps that was true, but not in the strange new one. The crew of the third died of radiation sickness. It took a while to figure out how. How could something simultaneously be so cold, yet be filled with deadly radiation? The answer was terrifying. The vast majority of this world was vacuum, yes, but the parts that weren't empty space were nuclear fusion reactors of a vastly incomprehensible size. They spewed scorching radiation out into space, sterilizing anything nearby. The crew of the fourth was ripped apart by a close encounter with something. It wasn't a collision. They simply passed by a large rocky object that tore their ship apart from a distance. It was at this point that scientists began to figure out how this universe works, what made it different. It was just one thing, something they called a universal attractive force. Everything in this universe was attracted to everything else. Materials, instead of mixing together into a life-giving soup that pervades the home, coalesce and collapse into these massive fusion reactors, leaving the surrounding space empty. The fifth crew survived. They, who had never seen more than a few feet in front of them through the mists of the home, now saw infinity. They saw the endless blackness of space, and they saw the countless pinpricks of light, each one an incomprehensibly powerful inferno. It was deadly. It was impossible. It was incredible. It was beautiful. And it almost felt like each of the thousands of dots of light was an eye. It was almost as if the universe was watching them. And as they peered into the endless void of growing existential terror, they could swear that they heard it speak to them. You do not belong here. Leave. And so they did. The scientists and the philosophers and prophets and politicians all agreed that this universe was uninhabitable by any and all forms of life. Explorers turned to the next one, hoping to find something more hospitable. They didn't. Instead, they found in universe after universe the same thing: gravity, the vacuum, the lights seemingly watching them like many-eyed eldritch creatures. The prophets and religious of the home were quick to spin these discoveries. They were blessed. They were special. The home was unique in the multiverse. Truly, they said, we are the chosen people. Those who had actually been to any of the other universes could never quite bring themselves to believe it. Privately, in the back of their minds, they knew the truth. The other universes weren't the accidents. The home was the accident. The other universes, with their power and majesty and lethality and beauty, were how reality was truly meant to be. The home, with its soup-like mists, had shrouded them from the truth. Most people regarded the explorers who came back from the other universes as somewhat insane. The explorers, those who had looked into the infinite and saw the infinite look back at them, believed themselves to be enlightened. At first, these explorers swore that they would never go back. Eventually, every last one gave in. The stare of the universe. It wove its way into their dreams. It was incredible. It was astounding. It was evil and wonderful. It was everything and nothing. It was impossible to resist. They had gotten bolder, moving in closer to the massive infernos. They'd set their ships to careen around the rocky body that itself was careening around the inferno. That's how these universes worked. If you move fast enough sideways, an attractive force won't pull you in fast enough, and you'll just end up going in circles. It was insane. It didn't take long for them to notice. As they passed over the lit side into the side shrouded in darkness, they saw the truth. Lights. Thousands of lights dotted the surface. There were shining hubs, out from which filaments of light spread, like cracks in glass. With dawning horror, they realized this was life, this was sentience. How was this possible? How could something possibly live on this orb of rock in the freezing vacuum of space, falling around an unfathomably huge thermonuclear explosion? What sort of eldritch creature could survive, even thrive in such a place? And yet, there the proof was. The lights, staring up at them just as the lights of 1,000 infernos stared down. And then the universe said, "Now do you see? You do not belong here. Reality isn't meant for you. It belongs to them." End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.